Going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here, and today we're taking a look at some hash rates for Spectre. So this is the coin I am currently mining. It is fairly efficient, so we're going to check out some hash rates and see exactly what is the best CPU to be mining Spectre with. If you are unfamiliar with the Spectre protocol, this is a Kaspa fork. It is a ghost egg type of coin, just like Kaspa and all the other forks out there. The dev does seem to be fairly active in updating the chain, so that is always a good thing here. Price isn't too hot, but again, it is nice and efficient. And as well, they just released Rust on their nodes, so progression is happening, so that's always a good thing. So the hash rates I am going to be going through, and then the results will all be on a spreadsheet. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. We're going to be testing a 3900X. We're going to be testing a 3950X. We're going to be testing a 5900X, a 5950X. We're also going to be testing some 7900Xs. And then over here we do have the single epic 7742 and then the dual epic 7742 over there, as well as some 7950Xs and 7950X3D. So let's start testing and see exactly what our hash rates are and power consumption. All right, and as for how I'm doing my testing, I'm going to show you, because I do know when I did do the hash rates for Kyla coin, some of you guys, how did you get the power there, and whatever, all your questions there. So let's start with overclocking. When it comes to any CPU coin, all you do is go by your base clock. Example, this 3900X here where the fan is off. More on that in a minute on why that is off, that's part of the testing process. But what we got going on here is you go to your base clock, 3.6, and then you drop the volts until you're unstable, and then you bring them up a little bit until you're finally stable again. So that's how you set up your CPU. I recommend using a very intensive algorithm like Random X. That way you tweak for that, and then you can move to any other coin and not worry about your CPU rigs going down. So that's how you kind of tweak your CPUs here. As for why this one is off, is because I do run a lot of my rigs with one power supply. So as we can see here, I'm going to kind of go around back. So you can see one power supply there. This rig is on, and this one's connected to it through a 24-pin splitter. So what I got going on, so I can test one individual rig, is I actually have this unplugged and the CPU power is unplugged. See, it's laying right here. So this one is not powered. So all the power I'm getting at my readings is on the one individual rig by itself. And then coming in, we can see right here exactly how much power this is using. So in this case, if I can kind of get a thing here. So there, we can see 111 to 112 to 114 all over in there is what this rig is pulling when it does come to Spectre. Also keep in mind, there's a whole bunch of variants that do also count for power on like what type of motherboard you're using, B550, B650, X570, and so on. 650 is for 7000 series, I apologize, but you know what I mean. The B450, B550, X570, the higher the grade motherboard, the more power they're going to use. Also, the efficiency of your power supplies. So if you have a 80% bronze or a gold, platinum, around ATX is usually around 50% load is the most efficient, where higher grade like titanium and platinum actually running upwards of 90 to 95% is where their peak efficiency is. So like you said, this is only on a single rig, but when I do actually plug in two, both are using a bit less power because I am close to that 50% range on this ATX PSU. But right now we're only testing individual single rigs. Okay, so let's take a look at some results. So Spectre hash rates here, we have the 3900X was about 10.55 kilohash at 112 watts at the wall. That is a hash to watt ratio of 94.196. So that means for every hash, if you times that by the amount of power, that is your hash rate. So higher the better when it comes to the efficiency of hash to watt ratios here. 3950X did get 13.83 kilohash at 140 watts at the wall. That is 98.785 hash to watt ratio. And here we are in red, guys. The worst efficient CPUs, just like what we've seen in our Kyla coin test, is the 5000 series. They are dropping that base clock, and it really does seem to hurt crypto mining. So again, we're up in the air on how well the 9950Xs will do with the 9000 series, because they dropped the base clock over the 7000 series 200 megahertz, where the 3 to 5000 series is only 100 megahertz drop. So it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Regardless, 5900X was about 11.1 kilohash, 145 watts at the wall, 76.758 for a hash to watt ratio. 5950X, 14.55 kilohash, 156 watts at the wall, hash to watt 93.269. Here we have the 7900X, came in at 14.84 kilohash, so it outperformed both the 3950X as well as the 5950X and did it at only 143 watts, coming in at 103.776 hash to watt ratio. Then we got the two in yellow here. Now, these I put both in yellow because they're consumer grade. It's cheaper for people to get. Otherwise, the expensive Epics is a little more efficient. We'll look at that in a minute. But here is the 7950X, 19.10 kilohash at 158 watts, 120.886 hash to watt ratio. The most efficient consumer grade was the 7950X 3D at 18.74 kilohash, a bit less hash rate, but it was also only 142 watts for 131.971 hash to watt ratio. Here in green, we have the single Epic 7742 at 41.22 kilohash for 312 watts at the wall, 132.115 hash to watt ratio. And then the dual Epic, like we always see, it is always less efficient than the single Epic. 82.18 kilohash, 635 watts, 129.417, making the 7950X 3D more efficient than the dual Epic, but the single Epic 7742 was the most efficient hardware that we had here for Spectre. But again, when it comes to consumer grade, I should have these ones in green because most people aren't buying Epics. Most of you guys are probably buying the 7000 series. So there we go. This is our Spectre hash rates. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about these CPUs. Are you building CPU mining rigs, and what rigs are you eyeballing? Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Rabid out.